Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I got a crazy current events video for you guys, and this is really good news. And this one is that one of the people that has been swatting Ned Luke has been sentenced to prison recently, and he has gotten 4 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. And I will actually talk about what those charges mean as we actually go through this article. I'll also link the article down below, so make sure you guys check it out. It's from GTAboom.com. But as you guys know, the voice actor for Michael DeSanta, Ned Luke, he has been swatted numerous times over the years. And for people that don't know what swatting is when these idiots, basically what they will do is they'll use some kind of app to hide their phone number. They'll make their phone number either appear as somebody else's phone number, or they'll make their phone number restricted, unknown, and then they will call the police in that area where that streamer is streaming, and they will make up some ridiculous situation. They'll say that there's hostages, they'll say that there's somebody with a gun, they'll say that there's somebody with a bomb. They'll basically create some ridiculous situation so that the police basically dispatch a tactical SWAT team, the armored cops, to that situation. And what these idiots are hoping to accomplish is that the police will break into the person's house, break down their door, hurt them, detain them, possibly even worse. Swatting is extremely dangerous because people can die. People have actually died from these situations before in the past. It has happened. There was a case, about a decade ago that happened. I think it was in Kansas, where it started over Call of Duty, and these two idiots arguing. One guy threatened to swat the other guy. The other guy posted a fake address saying, "Oh, you send the police here." The guy sent the police to that person's house, and he paid this guy that swats people, and that guy sent the SWAT team to that person's house, and that person had nothing to do with the situation. It was just a random address that he gave, and that person ended up getting shot and killed by the police. So these situations are very dangerous. The people that do this stuff, they're playing with fire. They don't realize what they are doing, because when the police go there, the police don't know that it's a fake call. For all they know, there's somebody that's actually with a gun, has hostages, has a bomb, whatever, made up, thing was for the phone call. But this person is now being sentenced to 4 years in prison. So let's read the article here from GTA Boom. Ned Luke Swatter is sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. The person who swatted Ned Luke at least 8 times has been sentenced to 4 years in federal prison, plus 3 years supervised release by a U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. So, 8 times. The fact this guy did this 8 times, my God. The person who sent armed police to Ned Luke's home at least 8 times over the past 3 years is going to prison for 4 years. A U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. sentenced the swatter to 4 years in federal prison. Federal prison, that's very, very serious. Followed by 3 years of supervised release. Luke, who voices Michael DeSanta in Grand Theft Auto 5, shared the May 21st, 2026 Department of Justice sentencing letter on X with the kind of energy you'd expect from the man who played one of gaming's most iconic characters. Karma is a bitch. So, I'll talk about what the charges mean in a little bit, but the reason that this became a federal case is because this goes over multiple states. So when there is something that typically goes over multiple states, like there is some kind of, for example, interstate hijacking, or there is some kind of scam that is going on across multiple states, it goes through multiple areas of the country, usually the federal government gets involved in stuff like that. And because swatting, in this case, the swatter probably does not live in the exact same state as Ned Luke, that's why the federal government is getting involved in this, because it is something that is going through multiple states. He is calling the police in those areas, making, bogus fake calls, and getting the police sent to his house. And so GTA Boom also created a timetable for every single time that it's happened. Ned Luke swatting timetable. Thanksgiving 2023. Luke is live streaming GTA Online when armed police arrive at his home. The swatter called in a false emergency report to his local department. Luke is visibly shaken on stream. So that's the first time that it happened, and that's, why he was extremely shaken. He did not expect something like that to happen. Christmas 2023. Luke is streaming with Rob Foth, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who voices John Marston in Red Dead Redemption. When police arrive again, the incident is captured live, and that's the thing. Thanksgiving and Christmas is when this person called in, and this person's a sociopath. Multiple additional swatting incidents. Luke reveals police know him by a name because of how frequently they are dispatched to his address. So, there was a clip where Ned Luke actually interacted with the police. I will actually show it. This is a clip that this is from my video of mine that I basically made 5 months ago where I was reacting to that, but I'll show it right here on the screen. So this was Ned Luke's live stream. I'll also link this video down below if anybody wants to watch this.
Oh, sorry, Galaxy. You know better than to pull up on me. Oh!
I should have warned
Getting swatted again.
2 years.
Oh my God. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hang on a second, Rob. Hang on. You guys say Merry Christmas to my friends.
Merry Christmas.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Ned.
Alright. I got Rob Weedoff on here too. He's the guy who plays John Marston in Red Dead Redemption series.
Oh,
really? Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sweet setup.
No doubt. No doubt. So we're all good.
Sweet. Awesome. Just
Obviously. Obviously. Have a great Christmas.
All right, you too.
You take care, all right?
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah, man. There's so many douchebags out there, Rob. All right, here we go. All right, where are these gang guys here?
So Ned Luke basically was familiar with the police after this happened multiple times. The police were familiar with him. He didn't appear too surprised when it happened. He was visibly annoyed, which I would be too. But the reason that the SWAT team did not come in that instance is because when this happens once, where there's a swatting incident, the police will come. They will realize that it's not a real call, it's a bogus call, and what will happen is then the police will send just regular cops over just to check on it. And the police, when they were being called to his house at that point, they're 99% certain that it is a bogus fake call, which it always is. But the reason that the police still go to his house is because they have to. That's just how police procedure works. They just have to respond. They have to check it out. They just have to make sure that everything is okay. That's just how it is. So that's why the police are going to his house, even though they're 99% certain that it is it's a bogus call. And you can't really blame the police in these situations. A lot of people, they get angry at the police a lot of times in these situations, but it's not really the police's fault, because the police, they don't know what's going on. You know, the first time the police are the most scared the first time, because for all they know, there's really a hostage situation or something bad is happening, some dangerous situation. But after that, the police pretty much know, yeah, it's not a real call. They write it down, but they still have to respond, because that's how it is. They got to respond to every single call. And then 2024, 2025, at least 8 total swatting incidents confirmed. FBI and local law enforcement investigate. Yeah, so the FBI got involved at that point. That's very, very serious. U.S. and May 21st, 2026, U.S. District Court sentences the perpetrator to 4 years in federal prison plus 3 years supervised release. Luke shares a DOJ letter on X. Community celebrates. Let me actually share that right now. So this is Ned Luke's Twitter. I'll also link this below. Don't drop the soap in the shower, douchebag. Won't be swatting anyone anytime soon. And they're coming for the ones he ratted out as well. So there have been more people that have been involved in this. This was not just one guy. This was apparently a bunch of guys that were that were doing this to him. But that person had basically snitched on his co-conspirators in order to basically get a reduced prison sentence. So let's read this here. Okay, so U.S. Department of Justice, District of Columbia, that's Washington, D.C. Okay, Ned Luke, United States versus defendant, and he blurred out the defendant's name, but it will be the person who did this here. There's the case number. Dear Ned Luke, the unclosed information is provided by the United States Department of Justice Victim Notification System, VNS. As a victim witness professional, my role is to assist you with information and services during the prosecution of this case. I am contacting you because you were identified by law enforcement as a victim of a potential as a victim or potential victim during the investigation of the above criminal case. Defendant, and again it's crossed out here, was sentenced by the court. The court ordered the defendant to the following: incarceration of 4 years, followed by supervised release of 3 years, special assessment of $200. I don't know what the assessment is. I'm assuming that's the fine that he pays for the $200. But I can talk about this. The incarceration of 4 years followed by supervised release. So what does that mean? So he's getting 4 years in federal prison. That's what he's getting. He might be released on good behavior. I guess that's all dependent on the courts and if they reduce his sentence in there. But he has been sentenced to 4 years. Now, I know some people might be in the comments saying that, professional, this is way too short, and I agree. I think that this guy should get way more in prison. I would not be against this guy getting decades in prison. Like, literally, 20, 30-year prison sentence. I would not be against the guy getting that, because you can make the argument that he was trying to seriously hurt Ned Luke with sending the SWAT team to the guy's house doing that. Ned Luke could have gotten hurt. His family could have gotten hurt. So with this guy, if this guy had gotten decades in prison, I would not necessarily be against that. The reason that he's getting 4 years in prison is because he took a plea deal. What a plea deal basically is you plea down for a lesser sentence. So how it basically works is you go into the courts, and whatever he was supposed to originally get was going to be way bigger than this. So he might have been facing, more than 10 years. And what basically might have happened is the court and the prosecution told him, hey, you take this plea deal, you avoid going to trial, and you get a reduced sentence. If you take this to trial and you lose, you're going to get the full sentence right here. Now, he ended up ratting out a lot of the guys that he was working with. So there was other people that he was working with, there was other people involved in this swatting, and he basically told the police who these other people were for a reduced sentence. That's why he got 4 years plus, because he also took a plea deal. That's also part of it. Now, the supervised release of 3 years, for people that are confused what that means, what that basically means is that after he gets out after 4 years, technically his sentence isn't up. Because after 4 years, he'll be a free man, so he won't be in prison, but he will be supervised for 3 years, meaning that he has to report to an officer. He has to report to an officer for those 3 years, and what happens in those 3 years is there's going to be basically conditions set. And those conditions could, vary for a lot of things. Like, one condition, for example, could be that he cannot associate with any of the other people involved in this. Another condition might be that he cannot use the internet. That's what it might be. And what the government might do is they might have him hand over his phone, hand over his electronics, his computer, other things. They might allow him to get on the internet for certain occasions, like, for example, when he's filling out like a job application and other things. They might like make an exception for stuff like that, but they might do like the conditions of the supervised release. They might make it, for example, where he's going to stay off the internet and stuff like that. So if I was the judge, that's basically what I would do, is I would ban this guy from the internet, and just basically make sure he's not on social media, make sure he's not on anything. If he violates this, what happens is he gets basically taken in front of a judge, there's a hearing, and the judge sentences him to prison. That's what happens. This is not like a typical trial. He violates those conditions, that's it. He's going right back to prison, and he's going to serve much longer in prison. The defendant pleaded guilty in pursuant to a plea agreement. It's a plea agreement we talked about, in which he waived that he gave up his right to appeal. As a result, it is likely that there will be no further court proceedings involving the defendant. To the extent there are any future developments in the case, we'll inform you of them through the victim notification system. Okay. Through the victim notification system, we'll continue to provide you with updated scheduling and event information as the case proceeds through the criminal justice system. You may obtain current information about the case on the VNS website. Okay, it's a bunch of information. A bunch of information on, how he can proceed further. But that's what this was here. Is I'm happy for Ned Luke. I'm happy that this guy had been sentenced. I'm not sure if every single person in this swatting incident has been arrested. That I don't know on. There's been so many calls, and they might not all be linked. The people might not know each other, but we do know that this guy, we know that this guy had, what Ned Luke said, that this guy had snitched on a lot of other people that were involved with him. So those people are also getting arrested, but this is an extremely serious thing. People see this as some kind of prank. I don't know how anybody can see this as a prank. People that basically think stuff like this is funny are sociopaths. It's essentially what they are. We did a story, what was like 2 weeks ago. There was this old woman that was actually doing a stream, and she was trying to raise money. She was streaming Minecraft every day. She was trying to raise money for her grandson who is sick, and some psycho basically swatted her. So these people will target anyone. These people are sociopaths. They're evil people. They don't have really any sense of empathy for others. Like I said, this could have ended really badly. Ned Luke could have gotten, seriously hurt, or his family could have gotten hurt, or even worse than that. I don't think these people realize that they are playing with fire. So I'm not against personally giving swatters like decades in prison. That's basically how I think it should be. And when these people they say, oh, it's a prank, it's a joke, and stuff like that. Well, if it's a prank and it's a joke, then a prison cell is just basically 4 walls. That's what it is. Then, if that's a prank to them, well, then that's exactly where you're going there too. So that's. Hope he enjoys his time in prison. He's gonna have a bit of time to reflect on exactly what he did. What a fool. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.